Welcome back to the Martial Arts Mindset Podcast. My name is Rachel Rose, and I am here today with the absolutely incredible Johnny Clark,
Oh,
promoter of Top Tier Boxing. Hi, Johnny. How are you?
great intro. I watched Dave Allen's off. I wondered what you was going to say about me. So thank you. I love that.
Do you know what? You're actually quite a difficult man to do research on because I was like trying to find some good hook lines, and I was like, I can't find anything. I could find things about the promotion company, but I wanted something about you. So you're going to have to give me something. So in future, when I interview you again, I'll have like a long-winded intro.
Just a stressed dad. That's it, really.
A
Stressed
straight.
dad who loves boxing. That's it.
We can do it again. Hang on. Take two. Welcome back to the
Yeah,
Martial Arts Mindset Podcast. My name is Rachel Rose, and I am here today with the absolutely incredible, extremely stressed out dad who absolutely loves boxing, Mr. Johnny Clark of
that's
Top
me.
Tier Boxing. There we go. There we got a double
Love
intro.
that. Very good.
Brilliant. Well, I'm going to jump sort of straight into the conversation. So, Top Tier are starting to do some really, really cool things. I've been following you guys for as long as kind of
Yeah,
kept up. Actually, one of my friends, I think, has been doing some social media for your events. So I saw more of it through her. Talk to me
yeah,
about how you've got here. Like, and I don't just mean like in the last couple of years. I mean, like, what's your story from, back in the
yeah.
day, boxing, everything? Talk to me.
Well, it all stems and evolves around Lee Eaton. So Lee Eaton is from my area. And he basically used to do white collar shows. And what he used to do is he used to make all my mates beat each other up for him. And
Yeah.
they got paid and he got paid and he got a real good reputation for it. But I used to give him ideas like my area, Grays, is quite well known for boxing. Like Johnny Coyle, he just won a prize fight. And I said, "Oh, Lee, you should do a prize fight." Then he got four of my mates to fight each other on the same night. But it just stemmed from that. Then I went on, left and done my own businesses and I set them up to run themselves, and I thought, what can I do? Then I was talking to Lee, and Lee was inviting me to shows. I thought, well, I like this. I do like this. And then on one of my businesses, Harley Ben come to work in our office, and I was like, this is weird. And then my business partner was training in Edge doing pads, so I just went down there and they went, why don't you be like a manager or something in boxing? Like it's like something I think you'd be good at. You're good with people and you could probably change a few people's careers and get them opportunities, get them sponsorship because a lot of people in business. And I thought, oh, I'll give it a go. And to be honest, that side of it, like I was working for Let's Go Management, but I was behind the scenes, just doing all the grand work. And I made a CRM system for them, probably the only CRM system in boxing, but I don't think it gets used to anyway. Um, and I was like, no, I want to be in front. I want to be the front man, and I want it to be my ideas that work or don't work. Because I kept saying things, and they weren't really being taken on board. So I was like, let me do it myself. That's how I started my company. I left my friend's company to go and do my own with my ideas that worked as well. So then that's where Top Tier was born. And then what I gave Lee Eaton the advice about prize fighters, I then done it in my debut show. So I then put a four-man knockout tournament, because you're not allowed to call it prize fighter, because I think Eddie Earns trademarked that. So that's how it come about. And then it was more, I had to learn so much, because you'd think in boxing you can sell this amount of tickets, then there's this amount of profit, but it's nothing like that. And I found that out from my very first show, that boxing doesn't make any money. You know, you need a lot of sponsorship. Um, need big ticket sellers to sell majority of them. You need people paying you to come on. And I didn't get any help from Lee on that side of it. He obviously gave me advice if I asked, but I'm quite stubborn and I haven't really asked him anything. I've wanted to do it all myself. And like I said, if I make a good show, it's because of me. And if I make a bad show, that's because of me. I'd like to take that on board. But that's how Top Tier come about. And then once it was out there, like I wasn't happy with things like the social media. I said the social media's got to be better, because it's small hall. You can only get 1,000 people in that hall, but there's so many people got Instagram, so I need them to see what the show's about, because they're not coming to the shows, because small hall boxing is really friends, family, work colleagues. It's not boxing fans. It's very rare to have, you know, a sold out show that just come to watch Top Tier. You know, they just come in to watch their cousin or boyfriend girlfriend box. So yeah, that's the quick download really.
It's really interesting because I think, well, a few things. Big up Lee Eaton. We like him.
Yes, yes,
Second of all, it's interesting that you said, you know, that you've been quite stubborn and you haven't asked for certain advice. But actually, what I'm sort of learning is sometimes it's better not to know, because if you
yeah,
knew the ins and outs of everything, you may not have ever taken that leap of faith. Because if you knew the truth about how hard it was going to be, and
yeah,
somebody broke it down to you, either you're going to ignore it completely and be like, it'll be fine, or
right,
it will put you off. And I've spoken to
yeah,
a couple of fighters. I think it was John Hedges actually, maybe
yeah,
who said that, like, no, maybe it wasn't John. It was one of them. Anyway, it'll be on one of the podcasts that's coming out soon,
yeah,
saying that basically he had no concept of how difficult it was going to be. And it wasn't John
yeah,
Hedges. No concept of how difficult it was going to be. And if somebody had told him, maybe he wouldn't have pushed for his
yeah.
career.
I
And then
agree.
I was like, thank God for naivety. Like, thank God for
Yeah.
naivety and just, you know, passion. Um, Obviously you have said
Well, to
like
be
from,
honest, Lee Eaton told me. Yeah, sorry, Lee Eaton told me, like, we was in Dubai watching Nina Hughes win a world title, and like Nina Hughes is from my area, like literally lived down the road to me, went to the same school as me, and when you see something like that happen, you think it's so doable, like anyone can do it if you try hard. If obviously you need a bit of talent to win a world title, but it showed me how small and quick and easy that boxing and industry and business can work. So I texted Lee about, I want to do this, and it won't work. And he was right, because what he meant is the money side of it won't work for you. You know, you're used to making money, so just letting you know it won't work. But then that advice, and you can't do it. I don't know about you, but if someone tells me you're not allowed to do that, I'll get like, I probably want to do it now. So I
I'm a
think,
I'm a woman trying to
and
make
not
myself
wanting
in
to
a male
hear
dominated
that
sport.
it
So
won't work, and
yeah.
yeah, yeah, well, yeah, there you go. But people telling me that things won't work or you can't do this, you can't do that. Sometimes they want the negativity, so I don't ask anyone for help. Do you know, I don't ask anyone for the advice, because that's the one thing I've had a battle with over these 2 or 3 years is pure people telling me negative stuff. Like, why are you doing this? Like, there's no money in it. Like, you lost this amount on that show, that amount on this show. You're giving all this big top tier treatment to boxers that are selling 10 tickets. They don't deserve you. They don't deserve this. And I'm like, I can't keep listening to you. If I keep listening to you, I'm going to walk away now. Um, so yes, it's hard. It's the hardest thing, boxing and explaining on how we got to where we are. But mainly it's because just competing with myself and competing with other shows and want to be better than them and getting out there. And I honestly feel this last show and the show before, numbers wise, I feel the change. And now I feel confident in everything I've been saying and battling these negative people with, that it's actually going to turn around for me now. If I spoke to you 2 shows ago, I probably wouldn't be as confident sitting here that I'll be here in 2 years' time, if I'm being honest. But now I feel like I'm where I need to be. That's
Yeah,
the truth.
but that's boxing. That's
Yeah,
the fighter life. That's, you know, you
yeah,
think about what fighters go through. This is why I started this podcast to talk about
yeah,
this industry, that it all works alongside each other. You know, the things that you can learn in boxing, you can put into your everyday life, and the things in everyday life you can put into boxing. And you are somebody who's decided they want to do something and you're going to
yeah.
go at it. And the thing is that everybody was nobody until they were somebody. So
No,
you know, projections of others is just limitations on what they think they could or couldn't do, or they cannot fathom being in your position because they know
yeah,
the risks you're taking. And I
yeah.
think something I've learned is people telling you you can't do it is only something within themselves. It's actually not about, you know, this. I remember
They can't do it. Yeah,
yeah, I remember once, because I'm a
yeah,
singer as well, telling somebody I wanted to be like Ed Sheeran, and they laughed and went, "Doesn't
yeah,
everyone?" And I was like, "Who was Ed Sheeran before he was Ed Sheeran?" You're looking
yeah,
at the multi-million pound, you know,
yeah,
billionaire superstar Ed Sheeran, but he was just some ginger kid from Suffolk. You know,
yeah.
everybody's nobody at some stage in their life.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, good on you
Do you,
for.
do you know that? Do you know that as well? Like, the hardest thing is when I left my best friend. It was, I was working for him in renewable energy, and I left his company to do my own. My mum, who I'm very close to us, put everything by them. I mentioned it to them. I said, I'm going to leave my best mate and I'm going to do my own company. And they was like, no, 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 no. Like they were panicking. Like they did not want me to leave. They wanted the safety, the security that they've been taught of: house, mortgage, pay it off, then retire, then go on your holidays. Like they're smashing it now. My mum and dad, like with holidays, they go away more than me. Like they've done life what made them happy. But because they couldn't leave their boss and start their own companies, they think that I couldn't do it. You know, they couldn't see it. So what you said is true. But then because I'd done well from them conversations, I ended up training my mum and dad to, when I go in there with a vision, encourage it. Say to me, you can do this. And I'm telling you now, if you can do it with what you've worked with before, you can put that into your boxing, like what you just said before. And they support anything I say now. And if my mum says something negative, my dad tells my mum off, and in the other way. It's like I've trained them in sales and people skills, and to push me. Now I'll go to them quite a lot with ideas, and they're constantly pushing positivity towards me. So you do have to train people around you, but everything you said is spot on. So well done.
Yeah, you've got to see yourself as a bit of a trailblazer, because you've got to go against the grain, and then you've got to show
Yeah,
others that it can be done. And the people who are
yeah,
already in the position, they've already shown that it can be done, so it's not impossible.
yeah.
And this is every time
No,
I spend time with fighters all the time now because of this job and people in the industry, and what I absorb is the mentality. So you know
yeah,
how they say, like, look at your circle, look at your future. Like, they may not be
yeah,
my close friends, but it's the energy I surround myself with, which means that every day
yeah,
I'm around people who take what they take their limitations and blow them out the water. So that every day reminds me that I can do the same. So fair play, and keep going, because what you do, you will be that guy saying to somebody else in however many years time, I was in your position and it's possible. Why,
yeah.
I mean, obviously you've explained that you had that relationship with Lee Eaton, and that kind of led you in, but what is it about boxing for you?
Love it. I absolutely love it. And to be honest, where I set companies up to run themselves without me, I wanted to do something that I enjoyed. It wasn't to make money. It was just to be in and around something that I enjoy. And then I think it was like 5 years ago, or no, 4 years ago, I was at the O2 and I put a picture up, and I said, I'd love to be front row, and then picture comes up on your archives memories, and I thought, bloody hell, I have been front row there. And then a lot of my friends said, yeah, but one day that'll be your show and you'll be front row. And they said they screenshot it, and then they said every year they're going to send me it until it's done. And I think just having a love and a passion for something that, when I was young, I used to like fighting as well, not a boxing, but I'll be honest, I'm an honest person. I used to love the challenge and the alpha male side of it. And I like the art side of it. I like the business side of it. I like that it's hard, it's a struggle. And when you see, like you said, boxers, they wouldn't have turned over if they know the real results is you're not going to get paid until 20 fights time. I'm the same level as them. I'm going to get paid to 20 shows time. But I like the hustle and the bustle and the people telling me it can't be done. I think it's just a little bit of everything. It just draws you in. Like Ben Eubank, look at what that done to the whole country. Like people don't even know about boxing. It drew them in. The way I've watched it for years and loved it. I loved all the interviews, and I watched interviews every night before I went to bed. I thought, well, clearly this is something I should really get into. And when you had um, someone knock on your door, that's Nigel Ben's son, like literally knocked on my door to come in my office, it was like maybe that was the calling.
Yeah, sometimes you've got to follow the signs that are
Yeah,
sent to
it's
you.
crazy, to be fair. It is crazy when I sit there and think of it.
Yeah, and I think that's the the feeling that you get from something is what you can then replicate for others. So you
Yeah.
can tell that you're so passionate about it. And it's like,
Mm.
if you don't believe in it, you can't sell it. But if you believe in it, you can, and you
Yeah.
clearly believe in
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. I love it. I'm obsessed with it. It's every day, but then now I felt like I got into it at the right time as well, because you watch EastEnders, it's on there. I watched Karate Kid with my daughter. My daughter went, "He's got the same gloves as you." They were boxing in it, and the show was sponsored by Rival, and they had Rival gloves on. And I was like, wow, it's just everywhere. Like even my daughter's 9, and people in her school were talking to her about the boxing and that. And I think it's just taken over. There's been a massive boom, and I think I got into it at the right time.
I kind of feel the same, to be honest. I mean, I didn't.
Yeah.
It was sort of. it was very serendipitous. I've been boxing since I was 18, and I had a heart
Mm.
condition, so
Oh,
I wasn't allowed to fight. I spent 14 years trying to get in the ring, always being told no, and then did a white collar fight in 2022 because I was like, I like literally said so many prayers. I was like, just let me do it once, just let me do it once, and
yeah,
I'll let it go. Did a
yeah,
fight in 2022, and then decided it clearly wasn't going to be for me to fight, but I couldn't be without the sport, so I became a coach, and then this
yeah,
is led into the journalism, and then the podcast, and sort
yeah,
of it's kind of been this thing, and I think that there is a more space than ever. There's more space for another big promotion company. There's more space for women in the sport. There's more space for people to be
yeah.
talking about it, and that's what's really magic. It's kind of having its own really big moment. What would you say the best piece of advice that you've learned through this journey, that you've been given, received, or something that you've learned has been?
I would just say, like yourself, you're very different from every interview I've had. Like, be you. No one can be you. Just be yourself. And your ideas, run with them. If they work, fair enough. If they don't, who cares? Luckily enough, everything's worked. Not financially for me, but building the brand wise, I think it's been spot on. There's no regrets. I'm proud of every moment, every step that I've taken. So yeah, like the best advice I'd ever given one is listen to yourself because it's your idea, it's your plan, it's your goal. No one else is doing it for you. Boxing's a lonely sport. Like before the show, my phone 16 hours a day, I think it's roughly. My phone is in use after the show, probably, or I'd like to watch what's going on, but for call wise, it probably drops down to 1 hour a day. So, yeah, just listen to yourself and make sure you're happy. It's not waste it on the wrong people either. That's my advice. Mm.
Yeah, it's good advice too. Time is very precious, and it's
Mm.
the only currency you
Oh,
don't
yeah.
get back.
Especially, I had a daughter. She was born, and then her first show was 9 weeks, no, 9 days old, then 9 weeks, then 18 weeks, and then I put the lanyard next to her. And then it got 5 shows in from the first baby picture to then the next one. And she had a belt over. I was like, oh my God, where have I been? But I'll be honest with you, I felt like I haven't been in the room. And then when I mentioned it to the wife, she was like, well, to be fair, you're not really in the room when you're with us anyway. You can see your brain working, you can see it thinking about medicals, doing this, doing that, and you're quickly texting someone while we're at a meal, you're walking out on your phone. It has been a lot, John. You have taken a lot on. And that's what I said. You never get them time and moments back. So you got to make sure that what you're doing you're happy doing, because obviously being a parent is massive,
You've got to
and
make you've
you
got
don't
to
want to
make it
mess that up.
Yeah, you've got to make it worth the sacrifice, right? So the hours you put in
Yeah.
is for a
100%.
a longer distance goal, and that's what it's all for. But obviously it is tough. I mean, I don't have children, so I can't relate in that sense, but I do understand that it must be very difficult to juggle when you know what you're doing it for, but there are other people that need you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're doing a great job, and they're going to be very proud of you.
Yeah,
Um,
but the kids love it. No, listen, I'm only lately I feel like that's true. So that's why I'm enjoying speaking to people now about boxing. Like I used to see, oh, how's the boxing? Financially, it's awful. Like that's what I say to them. Oh, it's awful. But my last show was the first one that broke even. And now I'm like, do you know what? It's really going well, thank you. And that's my answer now. So I was being negative. I know I keep talking about positive and negative, but I was generally just negative. And now there's a massive positivity coming out of me about my shows. And it was worth, being not a bad dad, but a busy dad. Like everything now, the click, what I thought was going to happen, it's happened now. So I'm very happy.
I think also that what I've realized with people is that they believe you. Whatever you say, they believe you,
Yeah.
right? So if you walk
Mm.
in with an energy of like, this is awful, they're like,
Mm.
oh shit, it's awful. Oh
Yeah.
gosh, like, better not get
Just
involved with
Instagram.
that. Like, oh, he's falling
It's good on
apart.
Instagram.
Yeah, it's going to
Yeah.
go down the toilet. If
Yeah.
you go in with energy of like, everything's amazing, they'll fill
Yeah.
in the gaps. They'll
Yeah.
like and then what happens is people jump on that energy. So
Yeah.
if you go, everything's just amazing, then everyone's going
Yeah.
to start getting involved because they're like, well, I want to be a part of the piece of the pie that's amazing. And
Yeah.
people will just
I
take you
agree.
take you at face value, even if everything's crumbling beneath. I mean, I've learned stoicism is like a superpower, like being
Yeah.
absolutely like smiley happy. I mean, I used to literally be crying. I had a really bad time of things 2 years ago, and whole life blew up.
Yeah.
I would cry on the way to the gym, be sobbing my eyes out. I'd stop the car, wipe my face, go in and teach class, and everyone would be like, "You're so positive. You're just the best coach." Da da da. And I'd get back in the
Yeah.
car, cry all the way home. Like I was
Yeah.
just, but stoicism, and it built a business
Yeah.
around me because people wanted to work with me because I was so positive. Things
Yeah.
were not positive in my private life.
No, no,
Um,
I
but
understand.
but I wouldn't, if I had gone in crying into the sessions. Nobody wants to get taught by the boxing coach that can't pull her shit
Yeah.
together. They're there
Yeah.
because they need you, you know. So
Yeah.
that energy will eke out of you and feed into
Yeah.
everybody else, and it makes you feel better too.
Yeah. Yeah.
What would
I think it's coming. Like even the start of my last show, when we opened it, I had 11 fights drop off, and I had 10
I
fights
saw
on the
that?
show. And to have 11 fights, and then Ali was like, "We'll talk about the drop offs." As soon as I started talking about them, I had the hump, and I was like, "Nah, bastard, this happened, medical happened," and I'm like, "Oh." So the next time, I'm going to say, let's not talk about them. Let's just talk about what a wonderful show we've got going ahead, and that's part of the boxing. And like you said, I've been miserable. Boxing has made me miserable. I think that's why Barry Hearn left it, wasn't it? I watched his podcast. He left it and went into darts where he's happy and earning money. And Eddie handles it very well. I don't know how he does it. I even messaged him. I said, "How do you do a fight week, which is the most stressful week in boxing, every week?" I said, "I do it once every 8 to 12 weeks, and I'm crumbling, mate." And he went, "You'll get used to it. You'll get numb. Keep going, mate." You know what I mean? So,
You'll get numb.
yeah.
I love that. You'll get used to it.
Yeah.
You'll get numb.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's the same. I don't think those two are in simpatico, but you know, we'll
No.
laugh about that.
Yeah.
No, Eddie does an incredible job. When I interviewed him for the first time, Eubank Ben, that was the
Yeah.
first time I met Eddie, and I watched him do back-to-back interviews, same question, same question, same question, same question.
Millicent, mate.
And
Yeah.
every person, he gave the same amount of energy, eye contact,
Yeah.
focus,
Brilliant.
gave them their time. So when he got to me, I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to ask him a single question that they've asked. I want to ask about how he's doing this. Like,
Yeah.
what's his superpower? How
Yeah.
how do you be Eddie Hearn? And now obviously he's had years and years and years of practice, growing up in a household where it's your like lifeblood. Obviously, will have
Yeah.
built him around witnessing how it
Yeah.
has played out. But it's a strength, 100%, and it's a
Mm.
character. And you know he did say kind of like you, he just loves it. He just loves it so much, and I
Yeah.
think that does help.
Obsessed. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely
He's
does
brilliant,
help.
though. He's definitely my idol. People always mug me off, but he's from Essex. He's relatable. You know, he's just so relatable. Like I watch him, and he's got the Essex wit. Like even that Parsons, the way he terrorizes him, and that's like me and my friends how we talk to each other, and it's just I don't know. I think you just end up laughing. And then my wife, she's like, "Eddie Earn's on again, is he?" And then when we see him at a show, she's like, John, there's Eddie." Like she was more excited than me. And then he come over and said hello, and she was like, "Oh wow." I said, "Well, what you fancy him, do you?"
Yeah. He has got those twinkly blues. He does have those twinkly blues.
That's it, mate. That's it. What
What would
geese.
you say he's a good guy? What would you say your toughest moment has been so far that you've overcome?
The two in one show. If I'm being honest, it comes back to one show. I had 4 people pull out on fight week, and the show lost 35 grand. I'm probably going to get killed if my wife watches this back. But the show lost 35 grand. And I was like, do I cancel the show? Do I let down the 8 boxers that stayed on? And I was like, no, just swallow it. So that was the toughest and the biggest learning curve for me, because you put a lot into these boxers, like I don't earn off the show. So you're doing it for them, really. And the only thing I'm getting is a brand that's built. They're getting their career. Everything was for their managers, and them. Nothing's for me other than building the brand. So, yeah, my biggest learning curve was to see who to trust, who to work with, and them boxers, they won't be back on my show. And their managers, they have been back on some of them, but I keep an eye on them. And I think I was so green and eager to have the best show and have the best fights that you trust everyone and think, I'm giving you the best opportunity. You're going to be on TV with all this, with all the social media coverage. You're not going to mug me off. And turn out boxing is probably the worst sport for that. Yeah, so I would say keep my wits about me and try to trust the right people.
I think it's learning, isn't it? It's learning how to read energy, read people, and like that's gut
Yeah.
feelings. It's like, when you like, actually, if I went back over that, did it feel 100%, or was I just hoping it
No,
was 100%?
spot on, because I collabed with them on plenty of photos. Even the fight week poster where they done the most tickets, I collabed with them just so they got the love. and they didn't accept the collabs and stuff like that. That's telltale signs. Now they don't collab. I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Tell me, are you on or you off? Like, so yeah, nah. But I'm a bit more numb to it now, and I trust the right people, and I think I built a brand and a team where I go to the same pool of fighters and managers now because it works well.
And I think what will happen is you will start building a boundary. This is, what I've had to learn just being a human, is you start
Yeah,
trusting that instinct, trusting that feeling, reading the room. And then what happens is you start creating a boundary around you where you don't allow that energy in. And then what happens is people start being like, oh,
100%.
nice guy Johnny isn't just doing anything that I want. What's going on? It's like, oh, you had your
Yeah,
chance. And then that
yeah,
reputation starts to spread, that you're not somebody to be messed with, and that,
yeah,
you're someone to be respected. So I think these moments teach us so much, even if they're painful. Um,
yeah.
like being a human
That's
can
the
be.
thing. I was never like that outside of boxing. And then I think I come in boxing, and because I wanted to impress and I wanted to be the best and I wanted the best fighters on, I was very lenient. And then I was very open, and little things people were taking the piss with, like little 50 quid here, little £100 here, little extra hotel room for them. And I'm like, and then when I switched to it, no, 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 you have one hotel room and there's two beds in it, and that's the trainer and the fighter for the away ones. I'm like, what? And then little things. But that's boxing, and everyone will always try and push as far as they can. But now it's like, no, this is it. This is the agreement. I write the agreements down, I make them sign it and send it back. So everything's been a learning curve, but I've definitely tightened up ship, as you said. Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant. And I think the
Mm.
only thing is that it's like the fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me. So it's always like
Yeah.
keep always about learning and developing that.
Yeah.
And it's like you can't learn it without a loss, unfortunately. We don't learn when we're things are really positive and, going really well.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, my last show broke even. Everything before that, the money and the investment and whatever is taken out of my savings, like for me, I drew a line under that now, and it's all forgotten about. I start fresh from my last show, what broke even. So now we build. That's how I'm getting it.
Yay, we broke even.
Yeah.
Woo!
Oh, it's crazy. It was
It's
a
just
beautiful feeling.
yeah.
Honestly, beautiful feeling. Like like I said, one show lost 35 grand. Others have been half that. And you're like, oh, every 8 weeks. Every 8 weeks. It's hard. But I wanted to be the big I am. I wanted to do bigger shows than everyone else. This is part of it. But I've got to where I want to be now. And now the pressure is on to keep it there.
I think you'll do great. You've already done the hard
Me too.
bit. So
Hope so.
what
Yeah.
what's your kind of like ultimate goal?
At the start, John from Essex was shouting, I want to do West Ham Stadium. I want to do this. I want to do that. I don't want to do that no more. But I'm going to be honest with you. I loved the show the other day, Ben Eubank, but I could see the stress around all the promoters. Like, I don't watch the boxing that much no more when I go shows. I watch the way people are working, what's set up, the chairs. It's crazy, but I take everything in, you know. You take the best bits that you like, things you don't like. Oh, if I'd done it here, I wouldn't have that there. And I definitely have my logo over there. Like, they're the things, and I write them down. But I think now my goal is to stay exactly where I am, to small hall. I've gone on a Sunday, the shows as well now, small hall Sundays, I call it. Let the big boys do all their shows on Saturdays and Fridays, and let them do all the stadiums and that. But there's a pool of boxers that need to be seen that aren't ex-Olympians, aren't ex-amateur stars, not big ticket sellers, but they need somewhere to go to build their brand. I just want to be the Academy of Boxing. Now, I've said it. You come on my show, you get all your media coverage, you get media trained without knowing it, because you got every fight you've had 10, 20 interviews, you're learning on the job. You also got to fight a tough fight. You don't come on here, get all that treatment and think, oh, you can fight a journeyman who's going to let you win. Every journeyman, and if you have one fight of mine, the next fight, I want a 50-50. I just want to be known as top tiers, like the Academy of Boxing, and then you get signed from top tier. You come through and you win a belt on top tier, you're more than likely going to go on to a bigger show. And like Jimmy Sains fought Gideon Jonas for the Southern area, both of them have been on my show. Both won, and then the next fights they're headlining or co-maining on matchroom shows. So yeah, that's how I want to be the Academy of Boxing.
I think that's brilliant because also there's like you say there's a space for it. There's a space and a niche
Yeah,
and people that want to do it.
and people like Eddie Hearn have been very helpful. Even Frank Warren gave me his fighter for 2 fights ago, Ethan James. Paid him to be on my show, to be main event on the zone. They wouldn't do that if I was trying to be the next Eddie Hearn like Ben Shalom is. You straight away have a feeling about them. Whereas me, I don't want to be you. You go and do all the big stuff. Let me build down here and then come up there one day maybe, but I'm very happy down here. Very happy being the feeder, but as long as it don't cost me money. That's the main goal.
Well, I think in this sort of situation, you benefit them as well if they've got
Yeah.
newer fighters that need a space and they need some
Yeah.
numbers under their belt and whatever. So it's a relationship that can be built, and that doesn't mean that one day you might not, you may change your mind in a few years and go, do you know what, I'll do West Ham, because you might have grown to a position where that's possible. But right now, if your goal is to create a lucrative business of supporting those younger,
Yeah.
fresher boxers that need a space, that's also an amazing thing, because
Yeah.
you're already doing great things with it. The fact that it's on DAZN, like
Yeah.
not everybody's come through as a promoter and has gone on to DAZN. Like
No.
you're doing good things.
Yeah.
And I think that's amazing, especially for those boxers that need a space. And I think boxing shouldn't be so hard for people to make a living out of. And I know that kind of ability and the struggle kind of adds to the whole story, but it actually shouldn't be that
Yeah.
hard. There should be like a basic wage that all fighters can have, like
Yeah.
other sports people would. There should somehow, I don't know where that money would come from, but it would be great if that was available to them.
Yeah.
And then being able to then, grow in their ranks on these pro shows and taking their steps. So yeah, I think
Right.
it's brilliant.
It would be great because if they're getting paid, I wouldn't have to pay on ticket sales and I could get paid as well.
That's it. Everybody wins. Everybody
Yeah.
wins. Yeah. So what have you got? Talk to us about what you've got coming up. I mean, obviously you said every 8 weeks, and I know you've been promoting a show at the moment. When is it again?
September the 7th. So I was going to have a stadium show, but the stadium didn't get passed in time to us to promote it. And I said, I'm not putting posters out without it being passed. So I missed that show. So then it was 13 weeks from now, September the 7th. Biggest show on paper to date. We've got 6 or 7 title fights on it. A lot of Silver Commonwealths, couple of Southern areas, WBC, Youth, Silver. It's an exciting show. And the best thing about it is the business model of Top Tier was, come on, no problem. You want to fight on my show? You can come and box. You want to fight a journeyman? No problem. But please stick with me. I'll build you, but then fight someone else at your weight. And then you can fight on my show. You can have a title and then go on to Matchroom, Queensbury, Boxer, anywhere in the world. But if I'm giving you all my time and effort and money and the shows are losing money, then when it comes to it, at least have the decency to fight on my show for the titles against someone else. And then obviously the media side of it. So the LED screens, that's something like 230 images we need for that, just to do the screens on the night. And to get that done is a lot of hard work. But where the next show has probably got 16 boxes that have already been on, the screen's already been built for 13 weeks' time, where normally we're doing it the night before. So as a whole, I've called it Ambition, the show, because this was my ambition, to have everyone on my show fighting against each other for titles, and the media team to not tell me off and be very happy.
Yay, we got a winner.
Nearly, because you know what boxing's like. They're all going to come off, they're all going to get injured, and we're going to have to start again. But that's not positive, and we're going to stop that.
Yeah, we're going to focus on the positive, because you've already, and also remember, it's like you already handled, you handled 10 drop-offs. If you can handle 10 drop-offs, you can handle anything. 11 drop-offs. Yeah, you.
It was 11. It was 3 main events and a co-main event as well.
Yeah.
Crazy.
That's brutal.
Brutal. But then I went to a GBM show where the main event cancelled in the changing room. So that was even more brutal for them.
That's it. And it happens all the time. Like, you see it happen all the time. It's just obviously the higher up people go, the harder they will find to pull out, because so much is riding on it financially, so much is riding on it.
Money.
Yeah. So their sort of dig deep ability gets a bit bigger at that scale. So unfortunately, it's just the way it is.
And that's what I always get asked. When would it change, John? When will it change? Like, that's something that my mum, dad, and my father-in-law would say, like, when is dropouts going to stop? And I said, you see the show with Dubois, he felt sick in Saudi, and he was going to get a lot of money for that, mate. A lot of money. I said, but he still pulled. And they was like, oh, it's just so volatile, isn't it? You could go for a run and twist your ankle and be off the show, and then that could be the fight that was making you money from the show. Then because of that come off, you lost money. I'm like, yeah, that's just how it is, mate. You know, it's a gamble, and I think that's part of the addiction, isn't it? Because where it is a bit of a gamble each show, but yeah, it's a tough sport. Such a tough sport.
It is, but it's a beautiful sport.
I love it.
It's just great, isn't it? Johnny,
Yeah,
I'm not going to take up too much of your time because it's the only
so
currency
I'm
you're going to get back.
really enjoyed it. I could talk to you.
Me
Yeah.
too. Well, I'm hoping you and I will spend more time together on the circuit because I'm not going anywhere,
Yeah.
and I intend on doing a lot more
No,
of this stuff. So hopefully we'll get to talk again, and I'll make sure that we do. Last question: if you were able to, you know, let's say you did do a big stadium fight. Let's say all the money
yeah,
worries, stresses stopped. You built the business, you built the brand, you're
yeah.
smashing it. Who would be your dream matchup that you got to host and they could be alive or dead? If you could pull out two fighters and you'd be like, I would love to have made them happen, who would it be?
Well, it'd be Konstantin Ursu because he come to me needing fights, and I built him on my shows, and then now I've actually managed to be his manager. So it'll be him fighting for a world title on my first stadium show. Um, Against who? I don't know. Anyone that he could beat. And Hardy Whitwell as well. It's been the same with her. I've taken on her as a co-management with her dad. So our main event will be Konstantin Ursu, and then co-main will be Hardy Whitwell. You know, both fighting for world titles. Just something because I'm very loyal, and the people who worked on my first show are still working with me now. You know, unless something drastic had to improve or whatever, they're the same, like the same table and chairs company, same tablecloth company, the same whip, you know, the same corners, seconds, the MC, the presenters, and everyone tries to get in. And I don't let them. I said, no, I'm sticking to the same. So if you ask me, and that's generally, I would just like Harley to stay with me the whole way, Constantine to stay with me the whole way, then the Pinnacle, we're all there together. That's the truth.
That's really
Yeah.
magical. And I think I hope that with the efforts and the energy that you're putting into this, I hope that that all comes true for you because it's well deserved. Johnny,
Thank you.
thank you so much for your time
Thank you.
and
Really enjoyed it.
I'm glad so have I. And like I said, hopefully we will see each other on the circuit soon.
We will do. 100%.
Take care.
Cheers.